Hey everybody, I had an interesting meeting with a couple of photographers, and we got on the discussion about the depth map feature that we can grab in Photoshop and different ways that we can use it creatively to alter and control different segments of our image. Are we ready for this one? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, this is dedicated to photography and as a photo artist, push ourselves out of the box creatively. All right, I had an interesting meeting with a couple of photographers, and we were discussing the feature that we have in Photoshop called Depth Map and how we can actually do or use it creatively. And I did something like this a few weeks ago, if not maybe a few months ago, but this approach is a little bit different. And I'm going to throw in a bonus toward the end of this video, but let's dive right in and take a look at how we can actually use the depth map feature in Photoshop creatively to control different segments of our image. Let's do it. All right, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different ways we can use the depth map feature that we have in the program, and this is just one of many. So let's dive right in here into Photoshop, and we're going to open up a image. This is a raw image. I took that image when I was in Kentucky earlier this year. For the first time, I actually stopped at a couple bourbon distilleries, and I found this fascinating just to see this walking around. This is around Maker's Mark Distillery, and I'm not going to do anything with that. This is what the camera saw, and I'm just going to select open right here. And now that we have that open, let me just do Control J, Command J to Mac. I just want to duplicate the layer so we can do a quick before and after toward the end of this video. To find the depth map feature, we can actually go to, filter drop-down menu, come down to neutral filters. Not neutral filters, Steve. Neuro filters. I'm sorry. You click on that. It's a long day. It's a long day. Let that open up. And down here, you'll see the depth blur feature right there. And I know we're talking about the map feature, but I got to go to this category here. And I'm just going to leave the sliders alone. I'm just going to slide down here or scroll down here, and we're just going to choose output the depth map only. So now when I do that, this is what it looks like. And basically it's showing what's darker is the area that's more in focus, and the areas that are like really light back there are not in focus as much. I'm just going to make sure it's going to a new layer right there and click on OK. All right, now that I have that done, now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to Control J, Command J to Mac to duplicate that again. I'm going to click and drag just to hide one of those down there as a safety valve in case I mess up one of these. So I'm on the map right there. And here's what we came up. We were just talking about controlling different segments of our image non-destructively by using the depth map feature here. And what we could do is I want to well-define certain areas. And a lot of times it's hard to do that the way it looks right now. So we decided, we were just sort of brainstorming, we would go to the image drop-down menu and choose adjustment and come down to polarize. And polarize is going to break this up into different color segments or different shades of gray. If I move this all the way to the left, you're going to have two. It's going to be black, white. That is it. Well, we found that with a lot of images, 5 works really well. It gives us different areas, and they're well defined. I guess that's what we're trying to fight. If we go further up, I'm getting a lot, just too many. So again, I'm just going to go back to 5 and click on OK. Now, as I move forward, this is permanent editing on the map right there. So that's why if I really goof this up, I could delete that and recopy this backup one right there. That's why I made 2 copies, by the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab right here on our toolbar, actually toolbox some people call it, the magic wand tool. And I'm going to click in this area right here. And it's going to sample that color, and it picks up this whole area. Now, I don't know if I want that whole area or not. If I don't, I can always mask it out. But what I'm doing is I'm selecting that, say, range of tones. And then I'm going to go to the select drop-down menu, come down to save selection. And I'm just going to call this, we'll just call this wagon. And I'm going to deselect that with Control D, Command D on a Mac. So again, if we take a look at this dark area, it's representing this right here. Okay, so I saved that selection. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and I'm going to grab the tree trunk there. And if I don't want that, I could do this right now. Grab my lasso tool and I hold the Alt key down, Option on a Mac. And if I do this around it, it should get rid of that selection. So that's what I want right there. So now I'm going to go back to select drop-down menu again and choose to save the selection. And again, I'm just going to go to the, oops, I'm sorry, save the selection, Steve. Save selection, not load. Save selection. I'm just going to call that tree. So I'll remember, I can remember what that is, that area right there. So if I hide that, you can see what it's selecting. Okay, so I'm just grabbing certain segments of the image. If I go over here back to the magic wand again, and I click in this area, it grabbed that area there, grab this area here. I'm going to hold the Shift key, click there, and I'm going to click there. So I'm multi-selecting the same color to grab it. And I'm going to save that again. So select drop-down menu, come down to save selection. And this area, I think I'm going to call this, boy, what should I call that? I'll call this, I'll just call this grass. I know it's not all grass, but we'll just call this grass. Or, I changed my mind. I'm going to call it BG for background right there. Okay, I'm going to deselect that with Control D, Command D on a Mac. And then I'm going to grab this area here, the white area, and hold the Control key down. I'm sorry, the Shift key down. So I'm multi-selecting the two white areas there. And that area there, I'll just call it background 2 again. So I'm going to go to select drop-down menu, come down to save selection, and I'll just call this BG for background, but it's going to be -2. Oops. Make sure it's a 2 there, and then click on OK. And then I'm going to deselect that again. And so again, I'm highlighting or selecting these different areas based on the posterizing feature that we have in Photoshop. Now, I don't need this anymore, so I'm just going to slide this down. And now I'm going to come back to the image, and now I'm going to start to apply some non-destructive editing to this and control these certain segments of my landscape. Are we ready? Let's do it. All right, before we continue on, I was just thinking, let's take a look at this image. That's probably not true a landscape shot. You might want to call that, I was just going through, so that could be a travel image or whatever, but you could tell I'm not a landscape photographer. So with this select, now I want to do is I want to control different segments of this. So I'm going to start out by being on the image right here on the layer, and I'm going to go to the select drop-down menu, choose load selection. And when the dialog box opens up, I'm going to go to the drop-down menu here. I'm going to choose wagon. So select that region and then click on OK. So there's my selection right there. Now, based on that, I could mask some things out. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to be very aggressive doing this so we can actually see things happen. So I'm going to grab the Oreo cookie dipped in milk, and let's go brightness and contrast as an example. And I'm going to go over here to the properties area, and you could see if I move this up, what's happening. So I'm just going to bump that up a bit like this, and maybe pull back on the contrast, or maybe up. I'm going to pull it back. Again, all this is very subjective. It's based on your personal taste. Now, when I'm doing this, and I got the look I want here, I see some lines here, right? Because if you look at the mask, let me pull up that mask, those are hard lines. So what I could do is click here, or I'm on the mask, I should say. Make sure you're clicking on the mask. Come over here to properties and move the feather slider to get the look that you want. So as I move this around, you can see the line down here, that's disappearing. So if I turn this layer on and off, we can see that there's some changes, and I'm controlling that area. If I didn't like this, that was like too light, grab my paintbrush, B for brush, make sure I'm painting in black, and let's make sure maybe 50% opacity that I have up there. And let's just come across here and swipe in these areas. And then maybe I'll do it again just to build on that a little bit. So if I pull up the mask here, I'm just holding Alt-click on the mask, which should be Option-click if you're on a Mac. I'm just going to cover that in black right there. So again, we could always fine-tune that. Okay, but there's the before, after, before, after. Now remember at the end, I'm going to throw in a little bonus here. And the next thing I'm going to do is, let's go back to the image, and I'm going to go to the select drop-down menu. Let's load selection. And this time I'm going to grab the tree. Whoops, the tree right there. So there's my selection of the tree. And what I'm going to do here, the Oreo cookie dipped in milk, let's click on that. And let's go to clarity and dehaze. And I'm going to push that up real high on clarity. Now, as I'm doing that, you can see what happened over here. And I'm probably just going to mask that out. So I'm going to go here and I'll just paint at 100% black so that is gone. So again, if we look at the mask right there, whoops, that mask right there, I'm wiping that out. So this is the tree that was selected. And a little bit of outer edge. I'm not worried about that at all right there. Okay, so again, I'm controlling that area, see what it's doing to the tree. Now, I forgot this. If I go over here, and let's say, I wanted to add a little bit more maybe saturation here in the wagon, and I forgot to do that. Well, what I could do is go back over the Oreo cookie dipped in milk, and let's just pull up hue and saturation. And again, I'm going to be aggressive on this. Let's pull that saturation up. But we don't want it on everything, right? We just want it on the wagon area. So there's my mask that I used before for brightness and contrast. If I hold the Alt key down, Option on a Mac, I can click and drag and copy it up. Yes, replace it. So there, I just replaced that there. So now when I push this up, and down, you can see it's affecting just the wagon area right there. So again, I might just want to play with that a little bit, or maybe work on the reds. Really want to maybe pop the wagon wheels, or maybe I want to pull them back a little bit. So this is all based on your vision for the image, but I'm going to do that a little bit right there. Very subtle, but I'm controlling that section right there. Okay, so now I did the tree, and now I'm just playing with different areas. Back to the image here, and let's go to select drop-down menu. Let's load selection, and I'm going to choose in the drop-down menu. Let's see, let's go to BG2 right now, and click on OK. That's the background area right in here. And again, I'm just going to add by going to the Oreo cookie dipped in milk. And let's go to hue and saturation. Maybe I want to desaturate the colors there a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit. Maybe I want to pull the lightness slider down to make it a little bit darker back there. Like that. And again, very sharp edges. So I'm on the mask. I'm going to go over here to properties, and let's just feather that out. So now when I turn it on and off, we can see what's happening in the background, which helps the foreground pop a little bit better. And then again, the leaves and stuff like that, back over here, if I select a layer and go back to the select drop-down menu, choose load selection, and that is the BG right there. Click on OK. So hopefully you understand what's happening here by me selecting these different segments of the image by using that depth map, and I use the polarize feature. And by the way, again, if you're learning anything, if you can do me a favor, and that is like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and hit that notification bell. Next time I upload a video, you'll get notified. And I do a video at least once a week on a Wednesday. All right, so with that area selected, again, I'm going to come down to the Oreo cookie dipped in milk here in layers. And let's just go to, again, you could be picking different things, but I'm just going to go to hue and saturation again. And maybe on this one, I want to pull up the saturations a little bit, maybe on the greens here. So I'm going to select green, and let's pull the saturation up a little bit more. So you can see I'm getting a little bit more aggressive here. Maybe go to the yellows if we have any yellows in there. Let's push that up. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. This has hard lines in it on the mask. So I'm on the mask. When I click on it, let's go to feather, and let's feather that out to soften up those edges. So I have a nice blend. So there's a before, after. Hopefully that's showing up before and after. Okay, now that I have that done, let's just pretend, okay, I'm happy with that. But again, we can still be building on this. I just need to reemphasize the purpose of doing this technique is controlling different segments of the image that we can control by using the depth map and converting it over to the polarizing feature. And now I'm just going to do a visible stamp layer. Some of the very top, I talk about visible stamp layers a lot, but Shift Control Alt E, like in Edward, that would be Shift Command Option E on a Mac. And it took all the layers it sees below, consolidates everything to a single layer. And if I come down here to the bottom, I'm going to hold the Alt key down, and that should shut off all the visible layers except the one on the bottom. So that's what I started with. And this is what I ended up with, just some fine tuning. And then I'm going to talk about this software as a plugin and standalone in the near future. And that is something called Optics. Now I'm going to right mouse click here and choose to convert smart object. I've been using this feature for years, since 2020 when it came out. I just very rarely ever talked about it. And they approved me as an affiliate. I still haven't made a decision whether I'm going to work this, because as an affiliate, there's all these other guidelines I got to follow. And yeah, you guys will get a little bit of a discount and it helps the channel. But I'm worried that this is going to turn into much as a business. And I don't want this channel per se as a business. I just want to basically break even or have extra money so I can invest back into the channel. And I'll talk about some of the things that I'm looking at doing for the channel. But I'm just going to go do a shortcut keystroke to open up Optics. And if I introduce Optics, I think what I'm going to do for the ones that, again, you could go to the website, Boris Effects Optics, but I think I'm going to do something on a different day, like a bonus video on a Monday or Friday, and I'll talk about this more in depth, and I'll do some basic lessons, starting from, hey, I'm brand new, how do I work in this? And then every, say, couple of weeks, I'll do another video on it for the ones that decided they want to purchase the plugin. So I'm just going to say no on this for right now. And one of the things that I use a lot, and I'm not going to cover all these things, but there is a feature, or not a feature, a camera. It's called a Holga camera. You could find it on Amazon. It's an inexpensive plastic camera. It's sort of almost like a cult following, and people will, it's a film camera, and you get like leaks and all this other stuff, but it has a very unique look to it. And I was discovering that one of the features I do like in this program a lot is called Film Lab. And if I go to Film Stocks, you get all these, the Kodaks and the Ilford, let me scroll down here, all the Ilford stuff, and just all these different combinations of films and things that you can use, all the Kodak ones and again. And anyhow, I discovered something and I saved it. And I'll talk about this more in the future if I end up doing some training on the software. But I can go over here and activate something called to save a certain thing I found under the Kodak area. And so I'm going to go to the drop-down menu and just choose favorites. And I found the Kodak 100 Holga. It gives the Holga 120 camera look to this image. So when I click on it, check it out. I mean, come on, that is so cool. And this is the type of image you normally would get when you're using film, or the special, the Kodak film. I mean, if you're using Fuji or something else, the colors can be slightly different. But I love that. And if I come back to apply right there, and there's other reasons why I own this. I'm just highlighting something really fast. I just thought it was really fascinating that they had the Holga 120 effect built into that software to give that look that you would get if you own that film camera. That's, again, it's got a unique following worldwide. So again, that's just a minor bonus here. I'll keep you up to date maybe on the Saturday, the philosophy of a photo artist that I put out every Saturday, once a month. So the one coming up in August, maybe I'll talk about a little bit more about this. And am I going to continue on this journey to be an affiliate for Boris Effects with Optics or not? I haven't made up my mind yet. But anyhow, hopefully you learned something here today. Try this technique of opening up Photoshop to get that map again, the depth map, and then go to the polarizing area and control the segments that stand out. and then make different selections, save those selections, give it a unique name that you can remember, and start making your adjustments in your images and see what you come up with. I think it's a really cool, creative way of using a depth map. It's not the only reason why we have that, but I think it's a pretty cool, unique way of approaching the way we can actually fine-tune an image. All right, so with that out of the way, everybody, remember, let's think creatively out of the box, and I mean literally out of the box. Till next time, see ya.